They all stared. The entire formation, a sea of perfectly pressed uniforms, and then there was me. My uniform wasn't dirty, it wasn't wrinkled, but it was different. One sleeve bore a patch that nobody else had, a patch that broke the pristine uniformity of the inspection line. The air was thick with tension as the inspecting officer, a by-the-book captain, worked his way down the rank. I could feel the whispers ripple through the formation before he even reached me. "What's that on his sleeve? Looks out of place. He's going to get chewed out." My heart hammered against my ribs. I knew the regulations. I knew I was authorized to wear it, but that didn't stop the feeling of 100 pairs of eyes drilling into me, judging me. The captain's polished boots stopped directly in front of me. His eyes, cold and sharp, didn't even look at my face. They went straight to the patch. His lip curled into a slight sneer. "What is this, soldier? A new fashion statement? Did you think this was a dress-up party?" His voice was loud, intended for everyone to hear. A few snickers echoed from the back ranks. I stood ramrod straight, my gaze fixed on a point just over his shoulder. "Sir, it is the U.S. Army Special Operations Command patch, sir. I am authorized to wear it as prior service." My voice was steady, but my palms were sweating. The captain leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a low, menacing growl. "I don't care what you think you're authorized to wear. On my parade ground, you will maintain my standards of uniformity. You look like a mess. You're a disgrace to this platoon. Take it off. Now." My blood ran cold. Taking it off wasn't just about removing a piece of cloth. That patch represented years of my life, sacrifices I'd made, brothers I had served with in the most demanding corners of the world. It was a part of my identity. Refusing a direct order during an inspection was career suicide, but obeying felt like a betrayal of everything I had been. My mind raced, searching for the right words, the right regulation to quote. But before I could speak, another voice cut through the air, sharp and powerful. "Is there a problem here, Captain?" Every head snapped towards the source of the voice. Strolling across the parade ground was a man who commanded respect without saying a word. He was in a simple utility uniform, but the aura of authority around him was undeniable. It was the base SEAL commander, one of the most respected and feared operators in the entire command structure. He wasn't even supposed to be there. The captain immediately stiffened, his face paling as he snapped to attention and rendered a salute. "No problem, Commander. Just correcting a uniformity issue with this soldier." The commander didn't even glance at the captain. His eyes, weathered and incredibly perceptive, were locked on me, specifically on the patch on my sleeve. He walked slowly, circling me once, his gaze analytical. The entire formation held its breath. The silence was absolute, broken only by the distant cry of a seagull. The commander stopped in front of me, his expression unreadable. He looked from my patch to the captain and then back again. My career flashed before my eyes. This could go very, very wrong. Then the commander's face broke into a slow, knowing smile. He looked directly at the flustered captain. "A uniformity issue, you say?" He tapped his own chest, right over a small, almost unnoticeable pin on his own uniform. "Funny, I have one of those too. Got it during a joint op back in the day. Some of the best men I ever served with wore that patch." He turned his gaze back to me, and for the first time, I saw not an officer inspecting a subordinate, but a fellow warrior acknowledging another. The snickers in the ranks had long since died, replaced by a stunned silence. The other soldiers were looking at me differently now, their mockery replaced with a dawning sense of respect, and maybe a little bit of awe. They had no idea about my past, and now it was being laid bare by one of the most legendary figures on the base. The commander then looked the captain dead in the eye. His voice was calm, but it carried an unmistakable edge of command, a tone that left no room for argument. "Captain," he began, "that patch represents a level of experience and a history of service that most people here can only read about. It's not a violation of uniformity. It's a badge of honor. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. He then gestured towards my sleeve. "In fact," the commander said, his voice ringing out across the now silent parade ground, "in many of the circles we travel in, that patch outranks yours." The captain's face went from pale to a deep, blotchy red. He looked like he'd been slapped. He opened his mouth, then closed it, utterly defeated. The commander simply nodded at me. "Carry on, soldier," he said, the respect in his voice clear for all to hear. He then turned and walked away, leaving a trail of stunned silence and a thoroughly humbled captain in his wake. The inspection was over, at least for me. The captain mumbled a few more instructions to the platoon leader and then dismissed the formation, avoiding my gaze entirely. As we broke ranks, the same soldiers who had been snickering just minutes before now came up to me. "Hey man, sorry about that. I had no idea. That was insane." The mockery had vanished, replaced by a newfound respect. They didn't just see a mismatched uniform anymore. They saw a story, a history that had been validated by a living legend. That day, I didn't just win an argument over a piece of cloth. I learned that true respect isn't about fitting in. It's about the experiences you carry with you and the quiet dignity with which you wear them. And sometimes, it just takes someone who speaks the same silent language to remind everyone else of that fact. That experience taught me a valuable lesson that has stuck with me ever since. It's not about the uniform you wear on the outside, but the integrity you carry on the inside. It's a reminder that you should never judge a book by its cover, because you never know the battles someone has fought or the mountains they have climbed. Everyone has a story, and often the most remarkable ones are hidden in plain sight, just waiting for the right person to recognize them. It's a lesson in humility, respect, and the quiet strength that comes from experience. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. It's memories like these that shape us, and I'm grateful to be able to share them with all of you. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more stories from my time in the service and beyond. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.